I want to talk about embarrassment. Embarrassment is emotional pain. And many times in life, once we go through emotional pain, we no longer do that thing. However, that can stunt our growth because the whole saying of growing pains means that to grow, you have to go through pain. And what I've learned is a basic, simple thing that I want to share with you that you don't learn in college, you don't learn in high school, you can't watch a success video, because very few people talk about this simple, basic thing that will help you in life to grow. Specifically in this video, I'm talking about growing your career, but you can apply it to anything to grow yourself out of a challenge, because you always got to have challenges. You can't hide from life under your covers because life will keep coming at you. Remember that. If you fall, get back up, because if you stay down, life keeps kicking you. But I want to share with you in life this basic thing that when you get embarrassed at work, whether you say the wrong thing or you do the wrong thing, show back up the next day. Many people in life, when they get embarrassed, they hide from that emotional pain. They go back under the covers of life and they stunt their growth, and their life just gets worse. It doesn't get better. It's just like dealing with credit card debt, right? Which I've done with. If you don't answer the calls of the collectors, if you don't address your debt, it just gets worse. And so life, you kind of realize that to overcome something, you have to keep showing up. And so I could just reflect on different times of my life when I've got embarrassed at work, especially in the beginning of your career when you're younger, in your 20s and early 30s. But it always happens. Even when you're old, it still happens to me time and time again. But it should progressively happen less as you get older, more experienced. But you're still human, so it will happen, okay, no matter what your age. So, and then that's why it's a good reminder. The other thing I found with life is there's nothing new under the sun, but you can't get too old where you think you don't have to keep reminding yourself basic things, because we're all still human. Stay humble. So I want to share with you, but that's a key. Stay humble, but don't be timid. And I want to share with you, there was two examples I want to share with you. One, I didn't physically do something wrong, but I verbally did something wrong. I was on a conference call, and I just verbally kind of spoke kind of out of turn, and I just said a little bit too much to try to show that I knew about the subject, and a little bit I didn't know, and so I kind of got embarrassed, okay? And afterwards, my manager at that time had came to me and basically didn't scold me, didn't berate me, but basically told me I was wrong in a certain way of saying it, and I just got corrected. And when you get corrected in life, it's hard, and I don't care what age, but especially when you're young. And it's especially important when you're young to not let that stop you, because you will never grow your career, you'll never grow your life, you'll never learn how to follow up, you'll never learn how to keep showing up, and you'll suffer. So I was like, such an emotional pain, right? I didn't do anything wrong, but I said things the wrong way, and I didn't approach the situation the right way. Remember, life, a big part of it is learning how to deal with people and learning how to and work with people. And you could work the night shift and you could try to be an entrepreneur and all that things, but you're still, at times in your life, you're going to need to work with people. So you can't get around it. And if you're on disability, you got to work with your social worker. Okay. And so there's no way around it. Okay? So if you go to your doctor, you got to work with your doctor. You can keep searching for doctors. You could keep searching for different jobs. And sometimes you need to, but at a certain point, what you need to do is accept correction. Accept the fact that you did something wrong, correct it, and keep showing up. Humble, but not timid. This is why. So I was corrected after the call, and a week later, we had the same call. We had this weekly call. And when I got on the next call, I was like, I ain't going to say nothing, because I embarrassed myself last week, and I was still feeling the pain a week later. You feel, sometimes when you get embarrassed, you feel the pain for weeks and months, right? So It's just like a breakup, it's emotional pain. You got to learn how to deal with emotional pain. And, just a side note, that's another thing. That's why a lot of people, they're in toxic relationships. They don't separate. Why? They don't want to go through the pain of the season of life, being alone and separating from someone. Make a mental note. If you don't overcome that emotionally, get a dog, put a jacket on it, and walk around every store you can find, because you're going to basically be emotionally disabled. And if you got no choice, you got no choice. But I check a lot of these people in my mind. If you have the ability to do certain things, okay, like go shopping, clean your own house, leave a comment online, then you could be a customer sales rep, okay? Because if you can type a comment, that means you can watch something, understand it with your mind, and then type a response. What do you think customer service is on the phone? Yeah, but let's stay on the subject. So this is why they don't do it, because they're able to do it, but this is the disabled part, the emotional part, okay? So the next week I go on this call, and I'm still recovering from my pain. And so when it came from my turn to speak about stuff, I said what I needed to say, but I was too quiet. So I went from kind of being too talkative to too quiet. And when I say talkative, I was speaking a little bit just out of place, out of turn, about the wrong things, too much. So this time I was like basically saying bare minimum, and I shut up. Okay? Make another mental note. When you do bare minimum, it's like doing bad, okay? In many regards, okay? Sometimes, not all times, but a lot of times. So I just did the bare minimum. I shut up and I said nothing. And so after the call, I'm not going to say I felt great about it, but I didn't embarrass myself. So then after the call, my manager calls me and says, Sam, what was that? And I go, I kind of knew what he was saying, but I said, what do you mean? He goes, look, last week you had a bad week. I corrected you in private. He did the right way. He goes, but I don't need you to sit on a call and say nothing. You have to still be you. You have to still, step forward. You still have to exert yourself, but you have to do it in a more disciplined way, in a way that's more constructive. And so I went from going too far to then going too little, right? So you're trying to find balance. And eventually I did. And that developed to me. And there's examples where I physically did something wrong too. And same thing. And again, you don't just get corrected. You don't just get embarrassed and then overcome it. It takes years, and it still happens. I still at times make mistakes, but of course they're less as you get older and more experienced and more knowledgeable, but it's the principle of get embarrassed, but show up the next day, the next week. Because if you can't emotionally develop through that pain, you're going to become more and more emotionally disabled, and more people are going to have to tell you what to do or spoon feed you. And if you can't help yourself, then I understand there's no disrespect. But I speak to the best of you, okay? And I speak to myself when I was at that point, and I was like, I knew you got two choices. You just never show back up to work again. Okay? And you may do that on one job or two jobs, but you better not make a pattern of that. So you either decide in life you're just going to not show up, or you're going to keep showing up. And that's a parable of life, and everything in life is like, because you're going to fail in life. Life is more about dealing with failure than dealing with success. I see these people and I see these videos about talking about, how to succeed, how to have abundance and all that bullshit. That's all bullshit. Okay? You want to know how to have abundance? Go through emotional embarrassment, pain, and show up the next day with a better attitude and correct your behavior. That's abundance. Fucking going from seasonal job to seasonal job is deplorable. And that's the truth. That's what they won't tell you. Okay? But they can't tell you that because they can't tell themselves that. See, remember, if they don't have the emotional strength to tell themselves that, because you got to tell yourself, don't matter to me what you do, okay? But it matters to me what I do. Okay. So if you're not willing to tell yourself that, you're going to always be at the bottom of the totem pole. Always. Okay. Because part of developing and advancing in life, okay, is not just showing up. It's showing up after you get embarrassed and correcting the behavior and trying to get better. Your best life requires your best effort. And that's the other thing they don't tell you. Your best life don't come when you hit the lottery, because even if you did, if you slept late and you didn't take care of yourself and you didn't develop how to overcome emotional embarrassment, you'll blow that money, you'll be emotionally depressed, and you'll be out of control. Emotional development is not saying you'll never fail again. Emotional development is saying, when I do fail again, I've developed myself where I can overcome it, or, just do my best. My best life requires my best effort. And I want to tell you, in life, you can search for a lot of bullshit, and there's a lot of bullshit out there. Why? Because a lot of people bullshit themselves. So you got to decide, because at the end of the day, all this talk and all this bullshit, you got to figure it out for you, okay? Because at the end of the day, when I end this video, I live my life. At the end of the day, you live your life. And you got to ask yourself what type of life you're living, okay? And are you happy with it? You think someone else going to make it better? Or you going to look in the mirror and say, what do I need to do to make it better? And if you tell me you don't have the ability to make it better, then don't ever leave me a comment. Don't ever go online. Because if you have the ability to figure out how to get online, to figure out how to make profiles, to figure out, okay, how to go to the bathroom, to figure out how to make your food. If you know how to make food, you know how to be a chef. Maybe not a 5-star stuff, but you could be a short order cook. But it's all about you don't want to do the work. Okay. And, look, in a first world country, you could get around it. You could do bare minimum, but you're going to get that result. Bare minimum success. And I don't care how many times you say abundance, okay? It's nothing but a fraud-ass pastor telling you that, or a fraud-ass YouTuber who worked a seasonal job all his life. And he's got more talent than that. Now, if that's what you want to do, don't let me tell you different. But I want to tell you in life, if that's what you want to do, that's different than what I want to do, okay? And that's what you got to decide, okay? I'm just trying to give you some basic, simple, but hard lesson of show up after you get embarrassed, try to correct the behavior, and have a positive attitude. Okay? And that's not just following your gut, because your gut tells you to hide under the covers, curse everyone, and never show up again. And that's why I check your gut, check your heart. The scriptures say the heart is the most deceitful. Don't follow your heart. You'll be disabled on a dating app. I had a troll. She fucking applied for disability for 3 years in a row. She got 3 pets, and she trying to date. How the hell do you have the emotional ability to date when you haven't emotionally worked on yourself? You don't. And that's how 2 miserable motherfuckers end up tearing the shit out of each other. Why? Because misery love company. You damn right. And that's truth. And I hope it helped.